Emily Johnson sat in front of the mirror, holding an eyeshadow brush with trembling hands. Today was her wedding day. Her face reflected in the mirror was pale with nervousness, but she was supposed to be a happy bride. "Emily, aren't you ready yet?" Her mother Patricia knocked roughly on the door while calling out. There was irritation seeping through her voice. "Just a little longer, Mom," Emily answered, trying to sound cheerful. "If we're late because of you, what will the other family think?" Patricia entered the room and looked around at Emily's hair critically. "That hairstyle, are you really okay with that? You should make it more glamorous." The hairstylist finished it professionally, Emily smiled softly. Patricia snorted. "Well, it might suit you. Age appropriate, I suppose." Emily's chest tightened. She had hoped for kind words, at least on this day. But that had been an unfulfilled wish for 35 years. "You're taking too long to get ready." Her sister Sophia entered the room. She was perfectly made up today as well, wearing a more glamorous dress than Emily's. "Sorry, I'll be done soon." "I never thought you'd actually get married." Sophia sat down in a chair and crossed her legs. "Does this Michael guy really know who you are?" "What do you mean?" Emily's hands stopped moving. "Nothing. It's just that normally, no one would choose a 35-year-old divorcee, right? There must be some reason behind it." Patricia lightly patted Sophia's shoulder. "Sophia, you shouldn't say things like that. Emily was lucky. Michael is such a kind man." "Lucky?" Emily repeated the word in her mouth. Getting married because of love was called mere luck. "Where's Dad?" Emily tried to change the subject. "Still reading the newspaper. He says today is a hassle." Patricia shrugged. "But we have to be respectful to Michael's family. They run a respectable company." Emily took a deep breath. Her family had never once been proud of her work at the welfare facility. They only talked about low pay and low social status. Her cell phone vibrated. It was a message from Michael. "Beautiful bride, how are the preparations going? I can't wait to see you. Today is our special day. I love you." Tears welled up in Emily's eyes. But they were tears of joy. Only Michael loved her just as she was. "Who's the message from?" Sophia peered over. "From Michael." "It's weird for a groom to message the bride," Sophia snorted. "That's not normal." "It's natural because we love each other," Emily answered quietly. Patricia and Sophia looked at each other, as if Emily had said something ridiculous. "Emily, please, just for today, don't do anything strange," Patricia said with a serious face. "Don't embarrass Michael's family." "I don't want to feel embarrassed because of you." "What do you mean by strange? You sometimes don't read the room, don't you? Just smile and stay quiet today." Emily felt pain deep in her chest. She wished they could be a normal family, at least today. A warm family that would celebrate their daughter's marriage. That was all she wanted. "Could you all please be kind to me, just for today?" Emily turned around and pleaded. "This is an important day for me." Patricia frowned. "What are you talking about? We're always normal. You're just too sensitive." Emily said nothing more. Looking at herself in the mirror, she silently thanked Michael. Because he was there, she could face this day. She could endure her family's cold attitude. Today was the beginning of a new life. Together with Michael, she would build a real family. The white stone building of St. Margaret's Church shone beautifully in the afternoon sunlight. Emily took a deep breath at the church entrance, clinging to her father Robert Johnson's arm. "Sorry we're late," Emily apologized to Michael's parents. "Don't worry about it, Emily. The most important thing is for the bride to look beautiful." Michael's mother Ellen smiled warmly. "You look absolutely lovely." Robert looked at his watch and said grumpily, "Well, let's get started." Standing for long periods is bad for my knees. Ellen's expression clouded slightly. She was puzzled by her son's father-in-law's attitude, which seemed to say he wanted to get this over with quickly. Robert, congratulations today, Michael's father George offered a handshake. You've raised such a wonderful daughter. Oh, well, Robert shook hands half-heartedly. We're relieved that Emily found such a good man. Honestly, with her age and all. Emily's cheeks reddened. In front of Michael's parents, she was being talked about like damaged goods. Dad, Emily tried to stop him in a small voice. What? It's the truth, isn't it? Robert didn't even look at his daughter. Patricia hurriedly intervened. Everyone, shall we take our seats? The church interior was decorated with white roses and calla lilies, wrapped in a solemn atmosphere. As Emily walked toward the altar, she looked around at the seats on both sides. Michael's side was packed with relatives, friends, and colleagues. Everyone was looking at her with warm expressions. On the other hand, Emily's side was sparse. Aunt Carol and Uncle Tom, cousin Jessica, and a few of her father's work colleagues. That was all. When the ceremony began, Pastor Richard started speaking about the meaning of marriage in a resonant voice. Emily was nervous, but she calmed her heart with Michael's gentle gaze. Love is patient and kind, the pastor's voice echoed through the church. Love does not envy or boast, it is not arrogant. Tears welled up in Emily's eyes. Michael quietly took her hand. When exchanging vows, Emily spoke from her heart. Michael, meeting you changed my life. You loved me just as I am. I will share all joys and sorrows with you. Michael also answered with deep affection. Emily, you brought light into my life. I will protect your kindness and strength forever. After the ring exchange, the pastor's words finally rang out, go forth as husband and wife. Michael and Emily quietly kissed. Amid the applause, Emily was filled with happiness. But the applause from her family's section was noticeably more restrained than the others. When leaving the church, her relative Aunt Carol approached. Emily, congratulations. But I'm really surprised. Why? Because I never thought you'd get married again. After how your first marriage ended, Carol lowered her voice. Does Michael know? About what happened then? Emily's expression hardened. Aunt Carol, that's... Well, the past is the past. But men care about these things, don't they? Michael approached. Emily, we're ready for the photo session. Oh, Michael, Carol suddenly brightened her voice. Please take good care of Emily. She's always been a bit of a handful since she was little. Michael frowned. Not in a bad way. Just, she's a little different from normal children, Carol smiled vaguely. Emily stood there silently. Why did her family say these things on her happy day? During the photo session, Sophia looked grumpy the whole time. Even when the photographer asked for a little more smile, she only put on an artificial grin. Sophia, what's wrong? Emily asked with concern. Nothing. I just never thought someone like you would get married first, Sophia said in a low voice. I'm younger and prettier. But good for you. Getting married to someone like Michael. Normally, no one would want a 35-year-old divorcee, right? Emily's heart was deeply wounded. There wasn't a single word of blessing from her sister. After the photo session, they moved to the reception venue, the grand ballroom. The venue was unified in gold and cream colors, with chandeliers casting elegant light. What a lovely venue, Michael's sister Sarah said to Emily. Is this your taste? Yes, Michael and I chose it together. It has a warm atmosphere, just like you two, Sarah blessed her wholeheartedly. Meanwhile, Emily's parents were complaining about something in the corner of the venue. Choosing such an expensive venue. Above Emily's station, Patricia said quietly to her husband. Michael's paying for it, so it's no problem, Robert shrugged. Rather grateful, actually. But she's showing off too much. People will say she doesn't know her place. Emily accidentally overheard this conversation and felt her chest tighten. At her own wedding, her parents weren't celebrating her but were embarrassed by her. Emily, Michael approached and gently put his arm around her shoulder. Are you okay? Tired? Yes, a little, Emily forced a smile. Your family seems a bit nervous, Michael said kindly. They're probably being considerate of my family. Emily couldn't say anything. Michael's kindness made her chest ache even more. He interpreted her family's cold attitude as consideration. Michael, thank you. I'm so glad you're here, Emily squeezed his hand. The grand ballroom's lighting dimmed slightly, and the reception began. The MC Tony welcomed the guests with a bright voice and announced the entrance of the bride and groom. Emily linked arms with Michael and entered the venue surrounded by applause. For this moment alone, everything seemed perfect. After the toast, the meal began. Emily sat at the head table, looking around at the guests' smiles. Michael's friends and colleagues chatted amicably, and his parents were having enjoyable conversations with the people around them. Meanwhile, Emily's family remained stiff-faced as always, only putting on minimal polite smiles. Now, everyone, MC Tony stood up with the microphone. After the meal has settled, we'd like to have speeches from both families. First, please welcome the bride's father, Robert Johnson. Amid applause, Robert reluctantly stood up. His face clearly showed an annoyed expression. Taking the microphone, he looked around the venue. Thank you for coming to my daughter Emily's wedding despite your busy schedules, Robert began in a monotone. Honestly, I never thought we'd be having another wedding at this age. The venue stirred. Emily's face went pale. But well, such a fine man as Michael appeared, Robert continued. This child is divorced and can't have children. You could say she's second-hand goods. The venue fell completely silent. Emily couldn't breathe. Still, thank you for taking such second-hand goods. I'm truly grateful, Robert said with a laugh. Michael, please take care of her. Small murmurs arose throughout the venue. Michael's face reddened with anger, and his parents were stunned. Emily gripped her napkin with trembling hands. Tears streamed down her cheeks. Thank you, Father, MC Tony tried to maintain the proceedings despite his confusion. Now, could we also have a word from Mother? Patricia stood up. It seemed she might correct her husband's remarks, but instead she added fuel to the fire. Everyone, thank you so much for today. Emily has always been a handful. We were worried about her, especially after her first marriage failed, Patricia wiped fake tears. But when someone as generous as Michael appeared, I truly think it's a miracle. Normally, no one would look twice at a 35-year-old divorced woman who can't have children. Emily's heart was shattered. To be told such things by her own mother in public. But from today, Michael will take care of her, so we can rest easy, Patricia smiled. Please take good care of her. The microphone was passed from Patricia to Sophia. Her sister stood up and showed a malicious smile. Emily, congratulations, Sophia began in a sweet voice. I'm really surprised too. I never thought you could get married. The tension in the venue heightened. Since childhood, she was a bit strange. In high school and college, she always caused problems, Sophia continued. Especially in college, when the police got involved. Stop it. Emily shouted. Her voice echoed throughout the venue. All eyes turned to her. Emily stood up, tears streaming, looking at her sister. Please, stop, Emily's voice trembled. Just for today, please. But Sophia didn't stop. But it's the truth, isn't it? Everyone has a right to know. Michael too. At that moment, Michael quietly stood up. His face was filled not with anger, but with cold determination. The venue fell silent as if struck dumb. Wait just a minute, Michael's voice was low but clear. Do you really know who she truly is? Robert, Patricia, and Sophia's faces turned pale instantly. What are you talking about? Robert tried to hide his agitation. Emily is our daughter. We know everything about her. Is that so? Michael smiled coldly. Then why don't you know that Emily has been anonymously donating $5,000 monthly to the local children's home for the past 3 years? The venue buzzed. Emily looked at her husband in surprise. Why don't you know that she volunteers at the nursing home every weekend? Michael continued. Why do you call her seeking help from police for domestic violence, getting in trouble with the police? Sophia's face drained of color. And most importantly, Michael's voice grew stronger. Why don't you know that Emily is not infertile? She gave up on having children because her heart was too wounded after miscarrying due to her ex-husband's violence. But now, we're planning to build a new family together. The venue was completely enveloped in silence. Emily's tears wouldn't stop. But now they weren't tears of shame, they were tears of deep gratitude. This woman you call secondhand goods, Michael took Emily's hand, is the most beautiful, strongest, and kindest person I've ever met. She helps wounded people, extends her hand to those in trouble, and continues to give love. Robert tried to speak but couldn't find words. Her first marriage didn't fail because of her. She courageously escaped to protect herself from an abusive husband. You should be ashamed of calling that a failure. Michael looked around the venue. I think I'm the luckiest man in the world to marry her. She's not second-hand goods. To me, she's the most valuable treasure in this world. Applause broke out. It started small but grew larger until the entire venue was giving a standing ovation. Michael's friends shouted, "Bravo," and his parents were applauding while crying. Emily buried her face in Michael's chest and cried. For the first time in her life, someone completely understood and protected her. Robert, Patricia, and Sophia sat there, pale-faced. The surrounding gazes were cold, and no one looked their way. Emily, Michael lifted her face. You are perfect. You're more than wonderful just as you are. I'll never let anyone belittle you again. Emily looked at Michael through tear-blurred eyes. Thank you, she whispered. I love you. The venue's applause wouldn't stop. Michael took an envelope from his pocket. The movement was quiet but filled with firm determination. Emily watched her husband's profile, beginning to understand what he was about to do. Everyone, could I have a little more of your time? Michael's voice echoed through the venue. I need to tell you the truth. Robert hurriedly stood up. Michael, that's enough. There's no need to air the family's dirty laundry. Dirty laundry? Michael laughed coldly. Who's airing dirty laundry, Robert? Taking several documents from the envelope, Michael looked around the venue. Emily's family was pale, especially Sophia, whose hands were shaking. Let me tell you, about 10 years ago, Michael began quietly. When Emily was 25, she married a man she met through university volunteer work. But soon after marriage, that man's true nature emerged. The venue was wrapped in silence. Emily gasped. She realized for the first time how much Michael knew. A man named David Rogers repeatedly inflicted physical and psychological violence on Emily. Michael showed the documents in his hand. These are police reports. Emily went to the police 3 times. The first time when her face was bruised, the second time when her ribs were cracked, and the third time. Michael's voice caught for a moment. The third time was when she was pregnant and pushed down the stairs, losing the baby in her womb. Small sighs escaped from the venue. Several female guests covered their mouths with their hands. Sophia, Michael looked at the sister. What you described as getting in trouble with the police was a victim of violence seeking help from the police. Do you think that's shameful? Sophia turned red and looked down. She couldn't answer. Emily then rented an apartment alone and proceeded with divorce proceedings alone, Michael continued. Do you know why she couldn't rely on her family? Michael took out another document. This is a copy of a letter Emily wrote to her parents 10 years ago. She consulted them about her husband's violence. But what was the response? Robert and Patricia's faces turned ashen. You must endure now that you're married. Don't think about something as shameful as divorce. You must have done something wrong too, Michael read from the letter. This was the parents' answer when their daughter sought help. The venue buzzed. Michael's parents showed indignant expressions, and other guests looked incredulous. Furthermore, Michael strengthened his voice. When Emily miscarried, what did Sophia say? Sophia began to tremble. Sister, you're really clumsy. You couldn't even protect your baby. That's what you said, wasn't it? Angry voices rose from the venue. One of Michael's friends shouted, That's terrible, and others agreed. Michael, please stop, Patricia said in a tearful voice. That's enough. Enough? Michael turned around. Patricia, today you called your daughter second-hand goods. But who are the real second-hand goods? Michael took out documents again. This is a record of the past 5 years. Emily has been donating $10,000 annually to a shelter for domestic violence victims, so that other women won't experience the pain she went through. Tears welled up in Emily's eyes. Michael knew everything about her, even the things she had hidden. Also, she volunteers at the nursing home every weekend. She talks with dementia patients, writes letters, and sometimes sings songs together. Michael's voice became gentle. The staff there call Emily an angel. Applause began to break out. And about what you said regarding not being able to have children, Michael took Emily's hand. Emily has no medical problems. She had simply given up on having children because her emotional wounds from her previous marriage were too deep. But now it's different. Emily looked at Michael in surprise. We're planning to adopt next year. An 8-year-old boy who was protected from an abusive home. Emily sincerely wishes for that child to grow up in a loving family. The venue was again wrapped in applause. Emily gripped Michael's hand back while crying. Finally, Michael looked around the venue. Let's talk about Emily's failed marriage. Yes, her first marriage failed. But it wasn't because she made bad choices. It was because the person she trusted and loved betrayed that trust. Robert tried to speak, but Michael raised his hand to stop him. And Emily, having learned from that a failure, made the right choice this time. Me, Michael smiled. I will love her for the rest of my life. I will protect her with my life from anyone who would hurt her. That's a husband's duty. The venue rose as one. Applause and cheers echoed. Michael's friends shouted, Wonderful. So moving, and his parents were crying. Meanwhile, Emily's family was completely isolated. The surrounding gazes were cold, and no one would look their way. Robert, Patricia, Sophia, Michael finally looked at them. Today, in front of more than 100 people in this venue, you witnessed what true love is. Love for Emily, and love for people. He placed the documents on the table. But unfortunately, you seem unable to understand that. That's why Emily has been so lonely all this time. Michael looked at Emily's face and smiled gently. But she's not alone anymore. I'm here. My family is here. And everyone here is here. The venue's applause wouldn't stop. Emily buried her face in Michael's chest and cried. Her tears were no longer tears of shame or sadness. They were tears of happiness, filled with love. Thank you, Emily whispered in a trembling voice. I love you, Michael. I love you too, Emily. Forever. When the two kissed, the venue was again wrapped in great applause. In this moment, Emily became truly free. She was liberated from past pain, from her family's control, and from all feelings of shame. Robert, Patricia, and Sophia stood up and hurriedly left the venue. No one stopped them. After the reception ended, Emily and Michael were on the venue's terrace, feeling the night breeze. The starry sky shone beautifully, as if blessing the couple's new beginning. "I can't believe it," Emily took a deep breath. "It's like waking up from a nightmare." Michael pulled her close. "You'll never be hurt by anyone again. I promise." At that moment, figures appeared from the venue. Robert, Patricia, and Sophia had returned. All three were clearly agitated, especially Patricia, whose eyes looked like she had been crying. "Emily," Robert approached. "We need to talk." Michael stood in front of Emily. "Haven't you done enough?" "No, let me hear this," Emily said, holding Michael's hand. "To the end." Robert cleared his throat. "About today, we got a little too emotional. We're reflecting on it." "Reflecting?" Emily quietly asked back. Patricia stepped forward. "Emily, Mother wasn't wrong. I was just being considerate of Michael's family." "Please stop," Emily raised her hand. "No more lies." Sophia said tearfully, "Sister, we're family. Forgive us." Emily looked at her sister. "Family?" "Sophia, do you remember what you said when I miscarried?" Sophia stammered. "When I was at my lowest, you abandoned me. If we're family, shouldn't we support each other?" Emily's voice was quiet but filled with firm resolve. "But you blamed me. You said it was my fault." Robert said irritably, "So that was long ago. Things are different now." "What's different?" Michael interjected. "Even today, you called Emily second-hand goods." "That was," Patricia tried to make excuses. "That was your true feelings," Emily declared. "For 35 years, I desperately wanted to be loved and accepted by you. But it's okay, now." Emily firmly gripped Michael's hand. "I have a real family now. A family connected not by blood, but by heart." At that moment, Michael's parents Ellen and George came out to the terrace. "Emily, are you okay?" Ellen asked with concern. "Yes, mother-in-law. I'm fine," Emily smiled. Ellen gently hugged Emily. "You're our precious daughter. From today and forever." George also said warmly, "Emily, you're our pride. I'm truly happy that my son could marry such a wonderful woman." Robert and the others became even more flustered seeing this scene. "Emily, if it's about money," Robert started to say. "Money?" Emily shook her head. "Dad, I don't want anything from you anymore. Not love, not understanding, nothing." Patricia started crying. "Emily, forgive your mother. We love you." "Love?" Emily smiled sadly. "Mom, you don't call someone you love second-hand goods." Michael's friends also came out to the terrace one by one, offering Emily warm words. "Emily, that was a wonderful speech. We were moved by your love. This is what a real married couple is like." For the first time, Emily was experiencing a wedding where she was truly blessed. 3 months later, Robert, Patricia, and Sophia's reputation had hit rock bottom. The people who attended the wedding had talked about that day. Even in local social circles, no one would speak to them anymore. Sophia was isolated at work, and Patricia couldn't maintain neighborhood relationships. Meanwhile, Emily and Michael were proceeding with adoption procedures. An 8-year-old boy named David would soon become their son. "Are you really going to be my mom?" David asked Emily when he first visited their home. "Of course," Emily answered gently. "We're going to be a family." "What's a family?" "It's loving each other, supporting each other, and always being together." David smiled. "Then I want to be family too." Tears welled up in Emily's eyes. This time they were tears of happiness. She had finally obtained a real family. A true family bound not by blood ties, but by bonds of love.